watching News Mongolia on MNB World, and I'm your host, Jarashma Tushinjargat. On the News Mongolia today, Mongolia joins global leaders at COP29 in Baku to tackle escalating climate crisis. The jaw harp has spread to over 160 countries worldwide. Mongolian Foreign Ministry Secretary meets with the Croatian ambassador. For the news, stay tuned. The World Leaders Climate Summit opened on Tuesday, November 12th in Baku, Azerbaijan, in conjunction with the 29th UN Climate Change Conference of the Parties, known as COP29. Key dignitaries, including Mongolian President Okhnagin Khurelsukh, were welcomed at Baku Stadium by UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres and Azerbaijani President Ilham Aliyev.
The summit, aligned with the objectives of the Paris Agreement, is a pivotal gathering to bolster international cooperation in keeping global warming to no more than 1.5 degrees Celsius, as related to pre-industrial temperatures, and reducing greenhouse gas emissions to net zero by 2050. As a signatory to the Paris Agreement, Mongolia is committed to significant climate action to curb the impacts of rising global temperatures and desertification. These issues are particularly urgent for Mongolia, one of the countries severely affected by climate change, with widespread consequences for its environment, economy, and traditional nomadic livelihoods.
Mongolia pledged to reduce the emission of carbon dioxide by 22.7% by 2030 and set a goal eliminate carbon dioxide emission by 2050.
The summit's priorities include enhancing climate finance, particularly for developing nations which are bearing the brunt of climate impacts, and establishing a new global finance goal to support these growing needs. COP29 also focuses on expediting commitments for greenhouse gas reduction, resilience building, and sustainable practices.
It's been 3 years since the President of Mongolia launched the campaign to plant 1 billion trees. Similar actions have been taken by other countries over the last 60 years. For example, Pakistan grew 10 billion trees, EU 3 billion trees, and China 70 billion trees respectively.
As COP29 host, Azerbaijan urged developed nations to double their climate adaptation financing by 2025, emphasizing initiatives to strengthen resilience, support low-carbon economies, and promote sustainable practices.
How we should prevent desertification, climate change, and soil degradation is very important, as we suffer the consequences of these issues.
During his speech, President Khurelsukh will highlight Mongolia's stance on addressing climate change and desertification, sharing the nation's strategies to align with the Paris Agreement. Since joining the COP discussions in 2021, Mongolia has worked towards sustainable environmental policies and climate resilience, underscoring its dedication to fighting global warming alongside the international community.
The traditional Mongolian jaw harp has captivated enthusiasts in over 160 countries, with more than 2,000 young Mongolians now learning the instrument. Celebrated for its unique sound, the jaw harp preserves Mongolia's nomadic heritage and cultural artistry on a global stage.
The number of young people interested in learning the jaw harp, which has been passed down from nomadic people since ancient times, has significantly increased recently. Specifically, more than 2,000 young people are currently interested in learning and researching the jaw harp, according to sources. This simple yet unique instrument, which produces a beautiful and refined sound, has captured the attention of music enthusiasts and is now spread across over 160 countries. In honor of Mongolia's traditional jaw harp day, jaw harps with distinctive craftsmanship were showcased to the public. When people think of a bamboo harp, they usually think it has 2 strings that are pulled from both sides. However, this bamboo harp is plucked back and forth with the fingers. The harp, crafted by tradition bearer Gambold, originally from Ikhtemursom in Arhanga province, is made from the shoulder bone of an ox. A bone harp artifact made from the split ox shoulder bone was discovered in Tuve province in 1989. Since then, numerous craftsmen have started crafting harps from bone. One example is the ibex horn, which is crafted into a harp with a deep sound. Historical sources indicate that the jaw harp is closely linked to shamanistic rituals and is reversed as the spirit horse. Examples of bone and iron harps found in Hunnu-era tombs were displayed, symbolizing unity with the Team Mongolian roof, or people of the world under one roof. Since this instrument can be used to create sounds like a human voice, I believe it offers a unique tradition to pass on to future generations.
The ministry's policy is to preserve not only the jaw harp, but also other traditions in a comprehensive manner by safeguarding both the tradition bearers and their environments.
The talent and craftsmanship of Mongolia's tradition bearers have garnered strong interest from international jaw harp players. Therefore, next year, these tradition bearers are planning to participate in the 10th World Jaw Harp Gathering in Japan.
Now let's take a look at Mongolian current affairs.
On November 12, 2024, Ilmuch Tushik, the State Secretary of Mongolia's Ministry of Foreign Affairs, met with Daria Mihilin, the ambassador of Croatia to Mongolia. During the meeting, both sides exchanged views on the current state of Mongolia-Croatia relations and cooperation, as well as plans for joint initiatives and visits scheduled for the coming year. They discussed strengthening the legal framework and underpinning the partnership and explored opportunities to expand cooperation in alignment with the long-term development goals set forth by both countries. The discussion also covered collaborative efforts within the United Nations and other international organizations, along with a range of regional and global issues.
Thank you for staying with us. Here is the currency exchange rates provided by Mongol Bank. Next, our program will turn our attention to foreign news, partnered with international news agencies. White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre says the president's meeting with President-elect Donald Trump this week is to ensure transition goes well. President Joe Biden is hosting President-elect Donald Trump at the White House on Wednesday, determined to maintain a tradition that's part of the peaceful handoff of power, despite Trump showing no interest in continuing it 4 years ago.
After his election win in 2016, Trump met with President Barack Obama in the Oval Office and called it a great honor. But he soon was back to heaping insults on Obama, including accusing his predecessor without evidence of having wiretapped him during the 2016 campaign.
I mean, look, that's an easy question to answer, honestly, when it comes to why President Biden is doing this, because he believes in the norms, he believes in our institution, he believes in a peaceful transfer of power. You heard him speak to this directly just last week when he was in the Rose Garden 2 days after the American people made their decision on this election. And it is important to him. It is important not just because it's important to him, but it's important to the American people. He said the American people deserve this. They deserve a peaceful transfer of power. They deserve a smooth transition. And that's what you're going to see. He reached out to President-elect Trump and asked for a meeting, for them to meet in the Oval Office. You're going to see that tomorrow. That is what is the norm. That is what is supposed to happen. And also that's what the American people deserve.
Trump disputed his 2020 election loss to Biden and has continued to lie about widespread voter fraud that didn't occur. He didn't invite the then president-elect to the White House before leaving Washington without attending Biden's inauguration, the first time that had happened since Andrew Johnson skipped Ulysses Grant's swearing in 155 years ago. Biden now insists that he'll do everything he can to make the transition to the next administration go smoothly.
With how the transition is going so far?
I mean, look, what the president is committed to doing is making sure that this transition is effective, efficient, and he's doing that because it is the norm, yes, but also the right thing to do for the American people. That's what they deserve. We're going to have a meeting tomorrow. They're going to have a meeting tomorrow, and certainly that will continue. As you know, Chief of Staff Jeff Zients has been pretty open and available to the Trump transition team, and will continue to do so. We want this to go well. We want this to be a process that gets the job done, if you will. And so, look, it's certainly, we're going to do everything that we can. The president trusts his team to get that done and do it the best way possible, and that is our commitment. That's.
Do you know if the former president will go to the sticks? Will he be free to?
You're watching News Mongolia. Here is the weather forecast for Mongolia and world major cities. Alright, that's all for today. Thank you for staying with us. We'll see you on Thursday with more news and updates. Goodbye.